Hello and welcome to the third and final video on the non-pushy way to sell professional services. And these are just some easy sales tips that work and that could work for you and have certainly worked for me, that I'm just going to share with you. So let's talk about those. So this is kind of, a lot of sort of common sense work, really, that if you're selling professional services, one of the best things to do is go to networking events. And choose your networking events wisely. Do a bit of homework before you go, and find out what kind of people are going to be there and if they're the right kind of people that you want to connect with. So spend some time doing that. Set yourself targets. I set myself a target of going to 2 or 3 every month, and spend some time getting to know people, and you'll probably find that you'll get some useful things from that. The next thing I would say is follow up everything. Don't leave anything to chance. Keep in touch with the people that you want to keep in touch with. Just a nice jolly note or a nice little postcard just to say, hello, it was great to connect with you. Let's keep in touch. I think, there was some synergy between your business and mine, etc., etc. And just sort of keep it nice, keep it informal, keep it personal. And that will help. When you don't follow up on things, people will forget about you. So following up makes it more likely that people are going to remember you. The next thing I've got on my list is volunteer to speak or present at events. A lot of networking events, they're always looking for people to do a 10-minute presentation or a little talk. Is volunteer. And don't be shy. Get up there, just do a few little things. I've got a couple of little presentations, little sort of set pieces that I do that are about 10 minutes long. I've got one that's 20 minutes long, so that if I'm ever get an invitation to do one of these things at short notice, I've got something ready prepared that I can do. And so it's really useful to sort of think about it in that way. And again, if you've done a little talk, people will remember you. Even now, months and months later, I meet people, around and about, say, oh, I saw you did a talk on something or other. And people do tend to remember that. So that's really useful. Share information, be generous. So if you meet somebody at an event and the conversation goes in a certain way, and you say, oh gosh, yes, there's a really interesting book about that. When you're doing your follow-up, send the Amazon link to that book and just to say, here's that book I was talking about. You might find it useful. Or if you see an article in The Guardian or The Telegraph, business pages or something, and you sort of think, that's something that this person might be interested in, just again in your follow-up, just send them a nice little note saying, I saw this and thought it might be something that would be useful for you. That kind of stuff always goes down very well, and it shows the other person that you're taking the time to think about them, and so on and so forth. So that can work really well. Offer an informal chat. One of the best sales tools that I have in my repertoire is if the conversation starts going and you sort of think, I don't really know where to, sometimes there can be a point at which you sort of think, well, this is getting awkward. I don't know what to do now. They're kind of interested, but I don't know if they are interested. What's going to happen next? What do I do? Easy. You just say, well, look, let's meet up and let's have just a meet for a coffee, have an informal chat, and if I think I can help you, then we can talk about that. If I don't think I can help you, then I'll be happy to sort of point you in the right direction. Always works, and it takes the pressure off the person that is a potential customer. The important thing is to keep the pressure off them. And so when you offer it, it's just a casual, informal chat. It becomes really, really easy. Next thing on my list, I've got always respect the person who gives you a referral. I'm always incredibly grateful when people take the trouble to pass a name on to me or mention me to somebody else, and I always give good respect to that. And what I mean by that is if somebody takes the trouble to give you a referral, always follow through on it quickly. Always let them know what the outcome was. Always say thank you. And see where it goes. Now, even if it's not right for me, I'll still follow it up and just say hello to the person that they're referring me to. And if I can't help them, then I will pass them on to somebody that I think can help them. And that seems to be a really good way of handling it. Next thing is I've got have a specific goal. So you know exactly what you want. And because if you don't know what you want, how you're going to know if you got it. I've got a client at the moment actually who are lovely, but I say, what are your goals here? What are you trying to achieve here? And they just say, just more. We just want more. We just want more of everything. And it's going to be a long journey to try and sort of get them into into sort of being sort of specific. But we're getting there. Analyze things that work and the things that don't work. So, like for example, I went to this lovely networking event for about 2 years, and it was so civilized. It was a really nice lunch, and it was all really lovely people. And at the end of 2 years, I never got a single piece of business out of it. And then you sort of think, right, okay, why am I doing this? So I had to stop doing it. Even though it was incredibly pleasant, it just wasn't working. So if I were my own client, I would say, if you haven't had anything out of this for 2 years, and in fact, I shouldn't have let it go on for as long as it did. I should have stopped it earlier. If you're not getting anything out of it after, a year, 18 months, it's time to move on and find something else. And keep in touch with people, follow them on LinkedIn, and do, all of the things that we've talked about before, keep in touch, offer informal chats, share information, and so on. And if you do all of the things that are on that slide on a regular basis and with some enthusiasm, you'll start to see results. You really will. So things to take away from all of this. Now, these are my ways. This is my way of doing it. And it works for me, and I'm fairly confident that it will work for most people who sell professional services. But the most important things here are, number one, you've got to be 100% confident in your product or service, because if you're not, you can't really expect anyone else to be either. It comes back to that, you can't polish a turd, you can only roll it in glitter. So just make sure that that you're bang on with what you're offering. Make sure that your offering is right for your target audience, and get behind it, and that will really help. Work out your strengths and weaknesses when interacting with people. Not everybody is good with all communications mediums. So I know that I'm good with writing, and I know that I'm good in a face-to-face situation. And because of I don't know if you watched the very first video, I told a story about how in my early PR days, we used to have to sit and cold call journalists, and I was hung up on, sweared at, shouted at, and belittled, humiliated. And so there's no way on earth I'm going to follow up. That I'm going to sit there and cold call people. It's just not my thing at all. I just don't like it. So my strengths are that I'm good on a face-to-face, and I'm good in in writing, and I focus my efforts on those two things, and that works for me. If you're not a writer and you like the phone, then that's fine, then you do it your way. I have a client who has a full-time telesales guy, and he's fantastic on the phone, I have to say. And he said that we were having a conversation with him, and I said, oh God, there's no way on earth I could do what you do. And he said, there's no way on earth I could do what you do. He said, the idea of walking into a room full of people and not knowing them and have to start talking to them fills me with horror. And so, and I said, well, the idea of having, a list of people to ring up that I don't know fills me with horror. So everybody's different, and just accept that. Work to your strengths, and you'll find it will just make you sound more confident for a kickoff. So work with that. Try to be useful and helpful wherever you can. Remember, it's all about the customer, and wherever you can, build relationships. It's not they might not be buying today, but they might buy in the future. They might not be buying today, but they might pass your name on to somebody who will. So those are the things to just sort of bear in mind. Successful sales is not just about the giving. The successful sales is about giving primarily, and it's not just about taking. So giving some advice, giving your time, and if nothing else, just sit and listen, and you'll find that you'll get really good results. So I hope that was helpful. So that's the end of this little series. I hope that was you found something in there that spoke to you. The important thing to remember is find your own way, find your own style, and be true to yourself, and all of those kind of wonderful things. So if you want to keep in touch, I'd be delighted to hear from you. I'm Jackie at brightsparkmarketing.com. Drop me a line, and hopefully I'll speak to you on another webinar. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.